Welcome to Astrid's Tales, and this is today's story.
The loyalty test, the hidden ledger of a decade. For the past 10 years, my life has been a carefully curated exhibition of mediocrity. My residence is a 400-square-foot studio apartment in a neighborhood where sirens are the primary form of ambient noise. My vehicle, a 2004 sedan with a rusting undercarriage and a muffler that sounds like a lawnmower with bronchitis, has been a source of constant embarrassment and mechanical anxiety. To my family, I am the struggling artist, the graphic designer who never quite launched, the object of their pity, and the target of their unsolicited career advice. However, the reality of my financial standing tells a starkly different story. Currently, my primary high-yield savings account holds a balance of $3 million. A separate investment portfolio, finalized just last week following the maturation of a long-term trust, has added another $5 million to my net worth. I am not struggling. I'm not destitute. I am, by every definition, a multimillionaire. Today marks the end of this decade-long experiment. In a few hours, I will present my family with a printed bank statement that contradicts every assumption they have made about me since I was 22. Following this disclosure, I will disconnect my phone number, vacate my apartment, and disappear from their lives. The question remaining is not whether I have the means to leave, but whether the tests I conducted on my own flesh and blood was a necessary protective measure or an act of cruelty. The origin of this deception dates back 10 years. At 22, I was a recent college graduate with a degree in design and no clear direction. My grandfather, Arthur, was the family patriarch, a man who lived with monastic simplicity despite possessing the investment acumen of a shock. While the rest of the family viewed him as a miserly eccentric, I knew him as my best friend during the final years of his life. Arthur resided in an assisted living facility. My parents, siblings, and extended family visited rarely, citing busy schedules and the depressing atmosphere of the home. I visited 3 times a week. We played chess, discussed history, and shared silence. I did not go for money. I went because he was the only person who listened without judgment. When Arthur passed away, the reading of the will was a highly anticipated event. My brother Mark had already mentally spent his share on a luxury car. My sister Sarah discussed renovations for a house she hadn't bought yet. My parents expected a comfortable retirement cushion. The shock was absolute when the executor announced that the bulk of the estate liquid assets, stocks and bonds, had been left solely to me, but there was a stipulation, delivered in a sealed letter handed to me privately by the lawyer. The letter read, "Leo, money doesn't change people. It unmasks them. You are young and wealth at your age is a magnifying glass. If you show them this now, you will never know who loves you and who loves your wallet. Live like I did for a while. See who stays. Protect yourself first." I made a decision immediately. I instructed the lawyer to place the assets in a blind trust and informed my family that the estate was insolvent, tied up in back taxes and hidden debts that Arthur had accumulated in his senility. The disappointment in the room was palpable. The anger was directed at Arthur's memory, but the pity and the dismissal was directed at me. To maintain the ruse, I adopted a lifestyle consistent with a struggling freelancer. I secured a low-rent apartment and took legitimate, albeit low-paying, design gigs to generate a verifiable paper trail. The transition was jarring, knowing I had millions accessible with a single phone call. Yet forcing myself to budget for ramen noodles and generic coffee required immense discipline. The temptation to upgrade my life was constant. There were nights when the heating in my apartment failed, and I sat shivering in a coat knowing I could buy the entire building if I chose. But I adhered to Arthur's advice. I needed data. I needed to know the truth about the people I called family. For 10 years I played the part. I wore thrifted clothes to Thanksgiving dinners. I brought cheap wine to Christmas Eve gatherings. I drove my rattling car to family picnics, parking it down the street to avoid their comments. Though they always noticed, the family dynamic shifted subtly but undeniably. When we were all equals, or when they assumed I had potential, I was treated with respect. As my struggle dragged on, respect was replaced by a rigid hierarchy. My brother Mark entered real estate. He was aggressive, charming, and successful. He upgraded his lifestyle visibly, purchasing expensive watches and leasing German automobiles. My sister Sarah married a software engineer. They moved into a suburban colonial and began taking European vacations. I became the cautionary tale. The exclusion began with vacations. Every spring, a group text would circulate regarding the summer trip: Hawaii, Italy, the Hamptons.
"Hey, Leo," Mark would say on the conference call, his voice breezy.
We're booking the villa in Tuscany. It's coming out to about $2,000 a head for the week, plus flights. Oh, wait. I forgot. That's probably a bit steep for you right now, isn't it? Maybe next time, ma'am. Yeah, I would reply, keeping my voice steady. Maybe next time. They would laugh, a sound that wasn't malicious, but dismissive. It was the laughter of people who had categorized me as irrelevant. The indignities at family dinners were more personal. My mother developed a habit of scraping leftovers into Tupperware containers before the meal was even finished. "Take this home, honey," she would whisper loudly enough for the table to hear. I know things are tight. On the surface, it appeared to be maternal kindness. In reality, it was performative charity. It allowed her to feel benevolent while reinforcing my status as the dependent. I was the family charity project, utilized to boost their egos. 2 months ago, I decided the experiment had run its course. The data was conclusive, but I required a final verification, a control test to ensure my perceptions weren't clouded by bitterness. I devised a simple financial stress test. I would ask each member of my immediate family for a loan of $50. I framed the request as an emergency. My car had a flat tire, and I was short on the cash needed for a tow truck. I called Mark first. Background noise indicated he was at a gym or a busy cafe. Mark, hey. I'm stuck on the I-95 shoulder. Flat tire. I'm short $50 for the tow. Can you Venmo me? I'll pay you back Friday. Mark's response was immediate. Leo, seriously? I'm not a bank. I just bought the Audi. Insurance is killing me. If I give you 50, you'll be back for 100 next week. You need to get a real job and stop playing with your little drawings. Call Dad. He hung up. Mark's annual income exceeds $200,000. I called Sarah next. She answered on speakerphone. Sarah, emergency. Flat tire. Need $50 for a tow. God, Leo, it's always something with you, she sighed. We're actually at dinner right now with the Petersons. Can you not ruin the vibe? Ask Mom. The line went dead. I called my parents' landline. My father answered. I repeated the story. Son, he said, his voice dropping into a lecture mode I knew well. We've discussed this. Bailing you out doesn't help you. It enables you. Tough love is the only way you'll learn to budget effectively. Walking to a gas station might build some character. They refused. Jules is my maternal cousin. She works as a preschool teacher, earning a modest salary. She has student loans and drives a Honda Civic with high mileage. We spoke occasionally, but were not exceptionally close. I called her. Jules, I'm really sorry to ask. I'm stuck with a flat, and I'm short $50. Oh no, are you safe? Her first reaction was concern for my physical safety. Send me your handle. Do you need me to come pick you up? Within 30 seconds, a notification appeared on my phone. Jules had sent $60. The note read, keep the extra 10 for a coffee while you wait. I know how it feels. Don't worry about paying me back. I sat in my apartment staring at the screen. I had millions in the bank, yet the only person willing to ensure I wasn't stranded on a highway was the one who could least afford it. I wept, not from sadness but from the clarity of the revelation. The mask was off. Last Sunday was my mother's 60th birthday. The venue was the Gilded Steer, a high-end steakhouse downtown known for $80 ribeyes and a valet lot full of Teslas. I arrived 15 minutes late. I wore my usual attire, a faded navy hoodie, jeans with a fraying hem, and sneakers that had seen better days. I parked my rusted sedan between a Porsche and a Mercedes, entering the private dining room. The atmosphere was already jovial. My family sat around a long table adorned with white linens and crystal glassware. When I entered, the conversation stopped. Mark started immediately. Leo, did you even shower? We're at a nice place. You're embarrassing, Mom. Sarah chimed in, swirling her wine. Did you even bring a gift, or are we sponsoring your presents again? I hope you didn't expect us to cover the filet mignon. My mother offered a tight, pained smile. Just sit down, Leo. Try not to make a scene. I remained standing. I tapped my spoon against my water glass. The sharp ding-ding-ding cut through the ambient noise of the restaurant. Actually, I said, my voice projecting clearly, I have a gift, and I have an announcement. I reached into my battered messenger bag and retrieved 5 thick, cream-colored envelopes. I had prepared them with my lawyer earlier that week. For 10 years, I began, moving toward the head of the table, I have listened to you. I have listened to your advice on how to live, how to work, and how to be a productive member of this family. I handed the first envelope to Jules, who was sitting quietly at the far end of the table. Jules, I said, thank you for the $60 last week. You asked if I was safe. You didn't judge. You just helped. Leo, what is this? Jules asked, holding the envelope tentatively. Open it. She tore the seal. Inside was the deed to a 2-bedroom condo in the city, a property she had mentioned, dreaming about years ago, fully paid for in her name. Clipped to it was a cashier's check for $100,000. I don't understand, she stammered, her hands trembling. It's a return on your investment, I said. The table went silent. The air left the room. Mark's fork hovered halfway to his mouth. I turned to the rest of them. I tossed the remaining 4 envelopes onto the center of the table. They landed with a heavy thud among the appetizers. These are for you, I said to my parents, Mark and Sarah. Mark snatched one up, ripping it open with aggressive curiosity. Sarah followed. My parents opened theirs slowly, confusion etched on their faces. Inside each envelope was a single document, a verified proof of funds statement from my primary bank. The balance displayed in bold, black ink, $8,452,000.72. Alongside the statement was a photocopied letter, the letter from Grandpa Arthur. Wait, my mother stammered, looking from the paper to me. Her face had drained of color. Is this a joke? Is this fake? Where did you get this? I've had it for 10 years, I said, leaning against the back of an empty chair. Grandpa Arthur didn't die broke. He left everything to me. But he warned me. He told me to see who loved me and who loved the money. I looked at Mark. He was staring at the document, his mouth slightly agape. The arrogance was gone, replaced by a frantic, calculating panic. I've been waiting, I continued. I waited to see if any of you actually liked me. But I realized that to you, I'm just a prop. I'm the loser brother who ruins the vibe. You couldn't spare $50 for a tow truck to keep me safe, but you expect me to share a life with you? Mark stood up, forcing a laugh that sounded like a bark. Leo, bro. Come on. I was just joking on the phone. You know how I am? I was trying to motivate you. Tough love, right? Sarah's eyes welled up with tears, the instant, performative tears of someone who realizes they have lost a winning lottery ticket. Leo, we're family. Family stays together. You can't just hide this from us. I looked at my father. He wasn't looking at me. He was looking at the number on the paper, likely calculating the mortgage he could pay off, the retirement he could upgrade. He cleared his throat. Son, he began, adopting a solemn tone. We've always been proud of you. We were just pushing you to be your best self. No, you weren't, I interrupted. You were proud of the idea of me being beneath you. It made you feel successful. It made you feel superior. I picked up my messenger bag. I'm moving, I announced. I closed on a house in a different state 3 days ago. Jules is the only one who has my new address. Do not bother calling. I have already blocked your numbers. My lawyer will handle any necessary communication regarding Grandpa's remaining estate items. I signaled the waiter, who had been hovering nervously near the wine station. I handed him my black Amex Centurion card. Put the entire table's tab on this, I told him, including the tip. I don't want to owe them anything. I walked out of the Gilded Steer. I didn't look back at the window. I didn't wait for them to chase me. I got into my rusted, noisy sedan, turned the key, and drove away. The muffler rattled. The engine wheezed. But as I merged onto the highway, the car felt like a chariot in the 48 hours since the dinner. The fallout has been predictable and extensive. My email inbox is currently at capacity. Extended family members, aunts I haven't seen in a decade. Cousins who ignored me at weddings have suddenly discovered a deep concern for my well-being. They call me heartless. They accuse me of being cruel for dangling money over my parents' heads. They claim that a 10-year test is manipulative. Even psychotic. Mark has attempted to contact me through LinkedIn, the only platform I forgot to block. His messages swing wildly between apologies and accusations of betrayal. Sarah has posted vague, tearful updates on social media about toxic family members and the pain of exclusion. Jules called me yesterday. She was crying, but they were happy tears. She asked if she could refuse the money. I told her that if she did, I'd donate it to a charity in her name, but I prefer she buy the condo. She accepted. I am currently sitting in an empty apartment. The boxes are packed. The movers arrive in an hour. The question posed to the public forum is simple. Am I the asshole? Is it wrong to deceive the people who raised you? Perhaps deception is a heavy tool. But as I look at the bank statement one last time before shredding it, I am reminded of Arthur's letter. Money unmasks people. It didn't change my family. It simply revealed who they had been all along. And it revealed who I am. Someone who is finally irrevocably free.
Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed the story, click like and subscribe.